Thank you so much. I want to start out with the hemp production program. This was a project that Senator McConnell, Senator Rand, Senator Wyden, and myself worked very hard to have hemp become a significant agricultural crop in America. It is now a situation where there are 615 registered hemp growers in Oregon, and I know there's a lot in Kentucky as well, and others across the nation. Both the fiber and the CBD oil has made this of great interest to people, and yet we don't have rules, and it looks like it's not going to have rules until we have the 2020 crop year. This is a pretty exciting new opportunity for farmers across America. Any way we can speed that up?
I'd love to, Senator, but probably unlikely. As you know, the dairy sector, we are prioritizing our dairy farmers in implementing the Farm Bill. This is obviously a new issue. It requires a lot of complexities because of its uniqueness and in its product and similarity to some things that many states and the federal government considers illegal. So we have to do this in a pretty more strictly regulated environment than maybe a commodity crop that's not like that.
So I've had the chance to go out to a hemp farm in Oregon. I don't think it's as complex as you're thinking. We both have the marijuana side, very different plant from the hemp. I'd like to invite you to join me out in Oregon for a little tour of our hemp industry. And we have these exciting little local places where we have very rural areas where they're setting up oil press operations, variety of different technologies involved, but they're like all excited because there's suddenly a little production facility in very rural parts of the state that rarely get anything new in. And so I'd like to share some of that enthusiasm with you, and maybe you could point at 3 or 4 people to really just drive this through and get it done.
I'd welcome that, actually. We need to know more about the industry as a whole. I probably know less about that than I do most of the crops, and certainly I would welcome that. There's no lack of enthusiasm for sure for the CBD oil and others, and I'm interested in really what the fiber utilization is, because what are all those industrial uses? Because as productive as American producer is, I'm fearful that we can crash this market before it gets off the ground.
Yeah, it's very possible. The fiber has been so established in Canada for a very long time. It's going to take longer to be able to move the fiber operations and be competitive there, but the oil, it's competitive right away. And so I want to turn to housing, rural housing. Your budget eliminates the single farm direct mortgage program, the repair loan program, all the grant programs. And I have all these rural communities that say, you know, the challenge is when we have an employer who wants to come, there's not housing. And yet when we have people who want to build housing, they're afraid to build it until the employer wants to come. Right. And so these programs are pretty important, and I'd like to encourage you to back restoring them.
Well, I can't disagree with you at all. I think many rural areas have a chicken and egg situation there that you've described. And I think the administration's thought on this was that this process would be consolidated in HUD rather than rural housing, but we understand the impact and the effect that rural housing has contributed to rural America.
I want to turn to broadband. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for your support of rural housing. Turning to broadband, we pushed very hard to greatly amplify the funding 11-fold from $60 million to $660 million, another $500,000 in next year, so or $500 million. So now we have a lot of funds, but the program to actually get the broadband grants out to communities has been slower than we hoped, and the rules are pretty complicated. I'm encouraging everybody to apply, even if they think they don't fit the rules, because what I'm hearing is very few communities will fit exactly with what's been laid out. But this is such a big need. So many rural economies they're like, we can't keep people here, or we can't draw people here if we don't have good broadband. So I just want to encourage the fastest possible, most generous rollout. If people's scores are low because they don't meet the programs exactly, but they bother to apply, I'm telling people apply anyway. There's going to be funds left, and maybe you'll honor those grants that don't fit every single aspect.
Well, I very much appreciate you all appropriating another $550 million on top of the $600. We're really on the cusp of receiving the applications now, but the portal has been open since December. We work with technical experts. These are complex applications there, and the way you all design the rules in unserved areas, It didn't happen as quickly as I'd like for it to happen either, but I think we wanted to get it right. We wanted to prove the concept that USDA can really facilitate these types of broadband transformations. We've got $200 in outright grants. That'll be the first thing that goes in April 23rd. We've got $200 coming in May over the loan grant combinations, and then $200 coming in June in the loan application. So there's been tremendous interest. I share your enthusiasm. I think this is probably the moonshot transformation that we could do if we could connect rural America in the 21st century data usage.
Thank you.